welcome back to another episode of Steelheads Weekly. We just came off a great episode with Roger Lajoie, so if you want to go check that out, there will be a link in the description and the comments. It was a great episode talking about the Steelheads move to Brampton, and I'm sure we'll get into that this week. But Mark, first of all, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing well. The Steelheads had an eventful weekend to say the least, huh? They had a weird game Friday and an even weirder game on Sunday, which we'll get into that.
Yeah, and I mean, they started off the weekend pretty good with a win in Peterborough. I mean, at this point of the season, you kind of expect to beat teams lower in the standings, which is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
But like you said, we went to the game Friday. That was a little weird. It was just a weird one. And then Sunday, again, Super Bowl Sunday. I hate that there's games on Super Bowl Sunday, but
yep.
nonetheless, always happens. But pretty eventful. A couple touchdowns as well. So that was interesting too.
Oh,
But yeah, we'll get right into it. We'll start with this past weekend, then we can preview a little bit of next weekend coming up, and we'll get into some Brampton stuff as well, because I feel like there's some stuff we got to tidy up from last week that we didn't get to. So
yeah.
we'll get to that. But Mark, first of all, Luke Misa goes off for the hat trick on Thursday night against the Petes. Nice little showing there for the Steelheads, gets them feeling good. Nice to see that. So what did you think of the game? Just to start the weekend and then moving into Friday too, because we were both there on Friday and it was pretty eventful.
I think it was good. I think it's a game they needed to win, obviously, because of the recent little slump
Hmm.
that they've been in, and it's good that Misa, one of their top players, picks up 4 points. You win against a team that you should be beating, build some confidence, try to get back into that third to second place area, maybe even first. So I thought it was a good win for them, and as well, Porter Martone had 4 assists as well, so he
Yep.
contributed on 4 of the 5 goals, which is something the team desperately needs. Because I feel like these guys lately have just been kind of just coasting, and they need a big game from their big players, and that's what they got on Thursday.
I think like when you get into the dog days of the season, right? Like midway through, you kind of start to coast. Like I feel like the teams that are playing really well will really take
Hmm.
off, and then if you're kind of middle of the pack, you tend to, like you said, like coast in a way. I know they're trying, but overall, I feel like they were really like win loss there for a little bit, right?
Yep, yeah.
So it's nice for them to get that big win for sure. And like you said, Martone, I love that pairing of Martone and Misa when they play together. I feel like they complement each other really well, because just by the eye test, Martone doesn't really have the greatest foot speed, right? And
No.
Misa definitely does. Like probably one of the fastest steelheads I've seen live for sure. So I love the way they complement each other. And Martone's having an amazing season. Like the fact that he has that late birthday and he's only going to get drafted next year. That's crazy. So we got another year of watching him, which is cool. And then we move on to Friday's game, back and forth game. I mean, Barry goes up, I think, 2-0.
Yeah, Barry went up 2-0. Let me grab it up here, the box score.
Hmm.
So Barry went up 2-0, scoring 2 goals on the power play, 2 minutes apart. Um, yeah, no, that game seemed out of reach real fast, but then, Mississauga got back into the game by getting a goal from um, Lucas, and the team kind of just picked up from there, and they scored about got a short-handed goal in the third that also, because it's going back and forth, it helped them out. My one gripe from that game, Darius, is what I mentioned to you. This team has no discipline whatsoever. They got how many penalties in the first period? I believe it was 5 in a row. Might
Five in
I
a
add. I
row.
think it's
It was
5 in a row.
five in a row. And not good penalties either. Not like they were direct scoring chances or anything like that. They
No,
were pretty undisciplined, like you said. And I feel like I'll let you get back to your point in a second, but I just wanted to add that like this has always been a problem, like for
always
years
been a
and years and
problem.
years.
Yeah, guys, just stay out of the box. That's all we ask. You can get a penalty here and there. Like, my goodness, I've never seen a hockey team take as many penalties as the Steelheads have.
Yeah.
It's it's completely they could avoid it and they don't. Got to clean that up for the playoffs. If not, you're gonna get eaten alive.
I think it's avoidable penalties, and I think we were getting frustrated Friday night watching that because we're like, holy smokes, 5 in a row. I mean, you're basically handing the game to Barry on a platter because if you go down, 3-4 nothing in the first period, it's tough to come back. You can do it,
Yeah,
but it's tough to come back. And I mean, it's frustrating because we see it season after season, these like kind of needless penalties.
Hmm.
Like I'll never get mad at a defender if someone's on a breakaway, like tripping somebody or like hooking if you have a great scoring chance. Like I'll never get mad at penalties like that. But
Hmm.
offensive zone penalties, interference, stuff like that, it's I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. So they
Yeah,
like you said, they got to clean it up for playoffs, man.
exactly. Because if depending who you play in the first round, example, if they play, so let's say the season ends today, and they play North Bay in the first round. That's the scheduled matchup for right now.
Yeah.
They're gonna get killed and just walked on by North Bay. So unless these guys are picking it up, getting their points, they can get back into things. You know what? You're in sixth right now. You're 2 points back of Oshawa. Try to go on a heater here, and then you're back into that battle for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. And you could have you could have a favorable matchup in the first round.
I think that's something that can't be understated either, like you say, because sometimes you'll look at the top of the standings and you go, well, maybe it's out of reach. But the East this year is really,
Open.
really interesting. It's open for anybody, especially at the top of the table there. But the Steelheads can still, they're in a position, they're in sixth right now. And by the end of the season, they could finish third. Like it's totally possible depending
Second
on,
or first, but
yeah.
that's
I mean, it's still a little bit, Sudbury's looking good because they got, 3-point lead on, the second best team in Brantford. They got a game in hand, so they're looking pretty good, right?
Mhm.
But if you're the Steelheads, I mean, you still got what, 17 games left in this season,
Mhm.
and you can still make some noise. You can
Yeah,
still, we know what they got, right? And if they clean it up a little bit, I know they won that game against Barrie. It was pretty crazy game,
very
but
crazy.
entertaining too. Last minute goal to win it, bar down, not bad.
That was a fantastic ping off the post and in. I wish I got that on video because I had my phone out. I didn't start recording and I should have because that would have been nice
And
to
when you,
have.
yeah, and when you watch it on the replay, it just didn't feel
Doesn't
as
do it justice.
satisfying. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's perfect way to put it. It did not, it wasn't as satisfying as seeing it in person. It was literally a perfect shot, ping off the bar with a minute left to win the game. So that was good, man. That was awesome.
It was
Get everyone in the
fantastic. They
game. Yeah,
needed it.
yeah, they needed that. The good energy boost too, and then you move into Sunday, yesterday, and I mean Super Bowl Sunday, I guess they were feeling it because both teams got a touchdown there, and then I guess Sudbury
Yeah.
converted for the extra point in overtime. But another crazy game.
Yeah, they were down 4-0 in the first period.
Yeah,
Like looking at the box score here, I don't even know how they even got back into the game. I know Jack Ivankovic started the game, then they pulled him and they put in Leaners,
uh-huh.
so that must have given the team a spark. So here's the crazy part about this game. The Wolves scored five in the first. They're up 4-0. Then the Steelheads scored one. Then they scored it a minute later.
Yep.
Then the Wolves scored 2 minutes later, so it's 5-2 to end the first period. Then you go into the second, and it's just the floodgates open because the Steelheads make it 5-3. Wolves make it 6-3. Steelheads then score three in a row, two at the end of the second, and then one in the third. And my God, and they tied the game with like a
A
minute
minute
left.
less than a minute left in the third, which is great.
Yeah.
McDonnell too, looking pretty good the last couple of games. So you
Yeah,
got the
for
time
sure. He's
goal.
looked good. And it's the one game that we watched it on the CHL TV, but like it's the one game that we missed and chaos ensued.
Amazing game, chaos. It's true. This is junior hockey in a nutshell. This game.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you get, and I feel like we haven't seen too much of that from this Mississauga team. We've talked about it before. JR has the guys playing a different style of hockey that
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
does not allow for too many high scoring games. Like we do see it, but
Yes.
this is something that this is peak junior hockey. This is love to see it, and a couple like. Guys that I have to give shout outs to. I mean, Leskovar gets on the board. I think it was his first goal of the year,
Yeah.
which great for him. And then McDonnell, he has 21 on the year, having
Yep.
a great campaign, right? Dallas draft picks, so he's been going. Martone 30 on the year. I mean, what do you say about that? And
Good for his draft stock.
yeah, a year in advance. And
Mhm.
Carmiras too. He's on a little bit of a hot streak too. I mean, Zabeski's been out. He's been a big part of this team. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, Carmiras has gotten a bit hot, and he's playing really well, chipping in for a couple of goals. He got two in this game. He was on hat trick watch. So, I mean, yeah, they lose in overtime, but stuff to like. And I mean, Sudbury's there in first, right?
Yeah, and they got a point out of it. So you got a point off the team that you're chasing, which is much needed,
Yep.
as well as the depth scoring's been coming in, which we've talked about. They needed that.
Yes.
So hopefully this can continue for them going in to the final 17 games of the season.
Hopefully. And I think depth, like you said, is something really important that we
Hmm.
haven't seen too much of, because I feel like at one point it was literally just the top guys they were relying on. And when there was a couple guys out injured, like McDonnell, for example, a couple weeks ago, it was like, whoa. Like,
Yep, it's like this is bad.
yeah. One last thing I wanted to mention too about Sunday, the between the
Mhm.
legs goal. Did you see that from Porter Martone?
I have not gotten a chance to watch it. I saw it, like people were talking on Twitter, some Steelheads fans.
Quite nice. Quite
Quite
nice.
nice. I gotta give this a look at
Yes,
because
hits a skate, comes to him, and just real quick, he's like right in the crease, and just between his legs pops it in. It was really nice. So, credit where credit's due. And I mean, that's not the first time he scored it between the legs. So,
no,
he
there's many more to come.
he is smooth. That's the way I'll describe him. Not the
Yes,
fastest, but
he's got good hands. He has to work on his
yeah,
skating, but apart from that, I think he'll do well.
yeah.
He needs to hit the Michigan next to complete.
Which we almost saw. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago from Richmond?
Yeah, I think about 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Two,
Yeah,
3 weeks ago, he did try it. It was close.
I think
Like
he
it
hit the
was. He
bar.
got it. It hit the bar and out. It was. That was live. That was the closest I've ever seen to a Michigan.
He
So
watched you play ball hockey. That's why he figured out he
that's
figured
right.
you
I'm
could try.
I'm not gonna pump my own tires here on the show, but that's exactly. If only I could score one though, that'd be great.
Exactly.
Lots of special teams too in the game we saw against Barrie. So I think that's something to be said too. The penalty kill was really good. Not
Yeah, I'm
only killing the
looking at
penalty,
it,
but scoring.
Yeah, they were two, I believe. Let's see here. The Steelers. So the Steelheads were 0 for. I can't speak. Sorry. The Steelheads. Where's the penalty kill? They were 0 for 2 on the power play.
Hmm.
Trying to find. Huh. Well, that's something the OHL app needs to fix. Is penalty kill. There's no.
No, like
Yeah.
percentage.
No, nothing.
Interesting.
Oh. Well, I mean, what? But there's one thing I noticed here that the Steelheads got bit in the butt on the power play because the Wolves scored two.
Yes, and I mean we mentioned it off
Or
the top of
penalty
the
kill, sorry.
show. Like it's something they have to work on. They take way too many penalties, so the
Mhm.
teams are gonna convert. Right? You go through a bunch of these box scores, power play goal, power play goal.
Yep.
Right? It's just one after another. So definitely something they need to clean up for sure.
My issue is if this, I think this is going to be their problem in the playoffs. I think it's going to cost them a series
Yeah.
or a game.
Yeah.
So hopefully not, but we'll see what happens.
You know, one thing too I wanted to bring up is I'm not entirely I'm not on the coaching staff and I don't see these guys every day and I don't know what the coaching staff is cooking up, but the power play is not exactly my cup of tea so far this year. And coming into Thursday, I believe they scored one power play goal in their last 11 games.
You know what their problem is on the power play?
Yeah.
It's been a thing for about 10 years now, or else the team name colors. All these guys do is pass on the power play, and they always try to go for the fancy shot, and they never shoot it.
And I
The
feel like
one thing
yeah.
never been fixed.
And I feel like sometimes it works and it's a very nice passing play. But majority of the time, you're kind of left wondering what's going on because they don't
Yeah.
really they have somebody like in a bumper position and then maybe they'll move to the front of the net if it goes down low.
Yeah.
But not too often is somebody like right in front of the goalie screening the goalie, and they play a lot on the perimeter, like you said. Like it's great. It looks nice if it works, but I feel like it's not working as much as it is. Sorry.
Yeah, they have to clean up. Just throw it to the net. Good things happen.
Exactly. So that's exactly get a deflection or I'm not saying always do that, but it helps to have somebody in front kind of making it hard for the goalie to see, because even somebody like Martone coming in off the half wall or something can rip it in if he has that shot available. So
Exactly.
I don't see too much of that. I see a lot of passing and then passing to the point. The point guy looks around. He knows he can't shoot it because the goalie can see it. So
And then the team gets it, shoots it down the ice, penalty's over.
yes, but again, that's just from what I see. That's just eye test. Just what I
Needs
see.
to be cleaned up here, lads.
Yes, for sure. Now, before we move into some more Brampton stuff, one thing I wanted to bring up, because obviously this is Steelheads Weekly, but we've been around for a while. And we've watched the Ice Dogs, we've watched the majors. And one thing I wanted to bring up is last week, the first ever captain of the Mississauga Ice Dogs passed away. His name was Scott Page, and that was brought to our attention on Twitter. So just, I guess, condolences go out to the family. I mean, he relatively young, the first captain. That means, it was the first season, 98. So just not great to hear. And yeah, first ever captain of Mississauga OHL team.
Yeah, condolences to the family, and it's tragic, it's sad. So, condolences go to the family.
Yeah, but have to make a hard right turn here as we do sometimes. But I thought it was important to bring that up because it is part of Mississauga's. He is the first ever captain in OHL history in Mississauga. So
Yeah, I
wanted
think
to
it's
bring
weird.
it
They
up.
didn't even acknowledge it Friday.
Right. Well, it's not the same. I get it because it's
They
not the
could
same
have.
franchise, but you could.
Moment of silence would have been nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh well.
Moving to
Yeah.
Brampton, because we know that that's happening now. We had, like I mentioned earlier, we had a whole episode last week with Roger Lajoie, which is great. So go check that out. I want to get some more of your feelings because we asked Roger a lot. We got a lot of his feelings. We shared some stuff that we thought with him as well. But I want to get we didn't even really talk about it being confirmed, just me and you. So what are you feeling, man?
Rain? Weird, man. Like watching OHL hockey for 26 years, and I not me 26 years. I was a baby for a bit. For most of my childhood life, teenage life, and adult life, it's gonna be weird going to a building I am familiar with. Whenever St. Mike's or the Dogs would play down in Brampton. Um, I don't know. It's gonna feel weird. Hope it works out. It's like Roger mentioned. They could make it work here. They have like the restaurant. They can get some money from there.
Hmm.
Hopefully, I mean, I was talking to some fans on Friday, and I asked them if they're gonna go down to Brampton. And they're like, no, I'm not gonna go. It's like, well, it's only a 10 minute difference. Yeah, I get everyone doesn't live close to like Paramount Fine Food Center, but like if you're a fan of the team, just try to just go support them. That's all they need.
I
And
f-
there's a rumor it's a 1 year lease, apparently.
um, I
So
feel like that's a rumor.
yeah.
I
So
feel like it's more than that. But yeah, it's interesting you bring that up.
mm,
Talking to people, and there was somebody who commented on one of our episodes saying that they're not making the move to Brampton either, and they've been a season ticket holder for a while. And honestly, I feel like that's just initial shock, maybe denial setting in. I feel like they will go support
yeah,
the team.
'cause
It is only a 10-minute drive.
yeah, and it's like at least go. It's just the same team, just different city, different city. It's still part of Peel.
Yes.
Just go watch. Just so what? Yeah, Brampton area is kind of nice, minus the horseshoe ring ish that they have going on.
Yeah. Yes. That
But
that's literally my only problem with the rink. It just looks
yeah.
off. I just don't like rinks that are shaped like
Oh,
that.
and the best part is they have a brawled area, so both benches are skating by each other. So we just might get a brawl. Like there was an ice dog game and watching on YouTube. There's Dan Siska. Think he was suspended. He got suspended because it was a bad game, and he just started a brawl right before the period started. And yeah,
Because
that could happen.
for anyone who doesn't know, Brampton's arena, you basically get on the ice. Like the dressing rooms are separate, but you get on the ice in the same tunnel, basically.
Yeah, so it's like there's one it's hard to explain here on video, but there's one here for the home team, one here for the away, and they skate across each other. So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Like it's not like exact it's not like they're holding hands to the rink or something, but they have to kind of cross like it's enough to get yourself in trouble, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I think this will be fine for the team. I'm still gonna go to games. You're still gonna go to games. It's gonna be fun watching the home opener there. I hope it works out. You have Mayor Patrick Brown, who's gonna hopefully he's done a good job so far with one tweet. Support the team. So hopefully he can pull up a Mayor Hazel, get people going out, get people to watch. And if you're a fan and you see somebody, how do I put this in a PG way? If you see someone degrading the team on Twitter, just reply back and tell me, you know what? Instead of degrading them, go support them. Because
Yeah.
I've seen some people on Twitter that are I would go to games and they put them down. It's like, well, you're not helping the cause here. How about you go support them, do that, and maybe it could work.
Yeah.
That building fits about 5,000, I believe, from what Roger mentioned. Same amount as
Same amount as
Hershey
Hershey's.
Paramount.
Sorry, Paramount
So
Fan Food Center.
yeah, it could make it work. So try to get at least like 3,500, 4,000 in there. See what happens. Never know, it could work out.
I feel like there's a lot of things at play here. A lot of people, the initial reaction was, like I said, like shock, denial. I feel like a lot of people who are season ticket holders or who support the team who right away were like, oh, this is unbelievable. I'm mad about this. I don't want to support them. I feel like when the dust settles a little bit and the summer comes, people will support them. People will
They're
go
still
to the
going.
games. Yes,
Yeah,
they
we
will
you
still
know
go
we
because I understand that initial reaction. I felt it myself, right? It's just like, oh,
exactly.
this sucks.
Yeah,
But
looking at it a week later, I'm like, oh, okay, it is what it is. I mean, they're still technically close by anyway. It's like
yeah,
5 more minutes.
you have to look at it optimistically. Like, oh, they are only 10 minutes away. They did not move, hours and hours away to a different part of Ontario. They're still in Peel region.
Yeah, and a part of me thinks they'd still be at Paramount Fine Food Center if someone else bought the arena a couple of years ago.
Right. The
So,
ownership is with the city, right? And I think that was the next thing I was going to bring up is Mississauga doesn't. I don't know if they don't care for hockey or even just the team in general. They don't. They have not supported this team at all. They've made it very difficult for this team to survive in that building.
no, they've done decently to survive 10 years.
Right, but what I'm saying is
11 this year.
there's no help. I think credit is more due to Steelheads management, the fact that the Steelheads have continued to push to stay in that building,
They've
where when the
tried.
city has not given them the support.
And that's
Uh,
embarrassing from the city of Mississauga.
it is a little embarrassing. I would like to see them. I know there's other tenants in the building, and those tenants probably bring in a little bit more money. I mean, Raptors 905 is a hot ticket. That is the G League, right?
Yeah.
But hockey's still great, and OHL is still great as well, right? And I just haven't seen that support there. And like you said, Patrick Brown seems genuinely excited to get a hockey team into that city, to the point that he tweeted it out, like you said. And I feel like there's going to be a little bit of support. And on top of it, you have to imagine, like Rogers said, Rogers put it amazing. They got a fantastic deal on this lease. There's no, way around it.
Yeah.
They got a fantastic deal. That's why they're leaving. And, in saying that, the ticket prices might reflect that as well. The ticket prices might go down because they don't have to charge as much to make as much
Go
on
back to
each ticket.
$12.95 tickets.
I remember when they were like, you can get them for like $10 if you were a
I
kid.
have it in my box over here.
Yeah.
The ticket price from 2007.
Yes.
It's like eight. Actually, no. My sister found one of her old tickets years ago, and tickets for an Ice Dog game in the 2000s, early 2000s was $4.95.
You know what I mean? Like
I have
the
an idea,
difference.
guys. If any of them, the Steelers management, someone watching this video, do a deal where it's like this team's coming to town. Get this deal. Do 3 games in 3 days if they do that on the schedule. Go back to 7:30 starts, and I know it's computer generated. Talk to the league. Try to get 7:30 starts on a Friday, and if you want, do Saturday games at four, and maybe do Sunday games at 3. You get a crowd in. It could work. Let's see what happens.
I think there is going to have to be a period now of experimenting with certain things because I feel like costs seems like they will be coming down, operation costs, right? So I feel
Yeah.
like you have a little bit of wiggle room now to kind of experiment with certain things because you're not having your throat stepped on the entire time. If that just to make that kind of, connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, ticket prices now are absurd for OHL hockey in that building. I mean, $34 for a ticket is a little crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know how that compares to other teams around the league. I don't know how other teams have been affected by COVID and other factors like that. But that's ridiculous. If you want to take your family, you're looking at almost $100. You're not even buying food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the new building, if the ticket prices come down because operating costs went down, that's more affordable, and you have food options in the arena now. You have an actual restaurant which will be running during games, which is great because, like everyone talks about, especially visiting fans, when you come to Paramount Fine Food Center, what do you eat?
They just added pizza this year. Give a good shout out to that. That's the only good thing they have there.
Well,
Also,
besides concessions,
shout out to the fries.
yeah, no, the fries. Oh, dude, the fries are
Fries are
paramount.
incredible.
Amazing. Um, but I mean, like, if you wanted to go for a drink with somebody before or after the game,
Mhm.
or get a food, like not concession food, get like a meal, you can't. There's nowhere really to go.
Hear me out. The Paramount Farm Food Center had a missed opportunity to put a Paramount in the bar lounge area.
There are some opportunities there. I still think that they can do going forward.
My one thing that they can take from this as well, not one thing, but one of my many things that they could take going to the Powerade Center, whatever the unit is called now. No one else is in that building
Hmm.
besides some Canadian basketball league team.
Yep.
But essentially, that building is your building. Make it as much home for them as it can be. Decorate the concession area. Have the Steelheads have like a wall. They have the captain's wall uh, in one side of the building, and after that, there's nothing there. I remember for the majors, they used to have stuff all over the wall for St. Mike's. They had players on the wall. Do that. Make it like their own building for the Steelheads. Have like
They
Legends wall, alumni wall, whatever.
they used to have stuff on the pillars. Do you remember that in the concourse?
Right, right, yeah. Do
There's a lot
that.
you could do to make it your own, and I love that point. Like, they are basically that Canadian basketball league. I don't know what their schedule is, but there's no way they have more games than OHL.
Like
Um,
they can make it work.
they
I
can
think it'll do well.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think you absolutely have to make that your home, because it is at this point. You are moving there. That is your home rink, and there's really no other significant tenants there. With no disrespect, but make it your own.
Make it your own, and you'll get a good crowd. I think it should work. Hope I've been. I don't. I'm hoping it works. I should say. I don't think.
I think there's an
Hopefully.
opportunity to have it work and
Yeah, you
be.
have an opportunity to fix your wrongs for the last 10 years here. Take some things the major. Like I said to Roger. Remember last week I said to Roger, take some things you could do with the majors and apply it to the Steelheads that can work.
Mhm.
Use the things that work. Get more fans involved. Um, you know, I'm trying to think of some other things that
And
we
I
could.
mean, like, if I can chime in for a second, the demographic of Mississauga as well has changed significantly over the last 10 years from when the
Yeah.
Steelheads rebranded, right, to the Steelheads. It
Mhm.
has. So has Brampton, right? But I feel like, you have an opportunity to really tap into that now, right?
Mhm.
And bring new fans in. You have to start that, because I feel like that is the only route to survival, and not survival, but what is the word I'm looking for? Like thriving in the area. You can
Yeah.
survive. That's exactly what Roger was talking about. Absolutely, they can survive with these operating costs, and I feel like Elliot Kerr wants to keep the team close to Mississauga, and this was a great deal for him to get this lease. I'm sure it's a great deal from the city of Brampton to use that arena, right? But you have to start creating new fans, and I think tapping into different avenues than you previously have to thrive,
Yep.
which I think is the goal here. I think we got to do something different, because all of this that we've been doing, and the whole storyline for how long, Mark, 26 years,
26 years.
has been it doesn't work. So how do we flip that on its head to be like, it's working? It might work. This
Exactly.
is how we're going to get it to work. What do we do?
Bring a winning team.
That too. I feel like, and I think they're going to. I think here's the other thing a lot of people are not talking about. Next year, it's a new building. That's a little exciting, though. The home opener
Right.
is going to be a little exciting, because it's like, whoa, it's different, right?
Mhm.
And they're supposed to have a very good team next year.
Supposed to. And I have an idea. I don't think this will happen. Hear me out, because they should have did this last year.
Hmm.
Last year, I said they should have been all in on Shane Wright when he came back to the OHL.
Hmm.
You traded for Shane. Here's what you do. No, here's what they should have did. You trade for Shane Wright. You get fans to come in and watch because they want to see this fourth overall pick in the NHL, especially to go first overall. Didn't have this kid come, fans come see and watch him. Now here's what they can do. If this player does go back to the OHL, you call London,
Oh, I knew you were going here. I knew you were going here.
you sell the farm to get Easton Cowan on the Mississauga Steelheads, and there is your marketing point right there. Because I've seen people on Twitter like, oh, he can make the Leafs next year. I don't think he's on the Leafs next year. You call London, you make a deal with London. get him to Brampton, and you promote everything on him. You will get Leaf fans coming to Brampton to watch one player. You're making money in one season.
I've been saying, and it's not just one season though. This is the thing, and I've been saying this for a long time. Not only a significant prospect, because if they were to get, we're just using Shane Wright as an example, that would be good. People would be like, oh, I want to go watch this prospect. They need, and they've never had a Maple Leafs prospect. If they had a Maple Leafs prospect, people would come from not only Brampton, not only Mississauga, they would come from other cities to come watch this prospect because it's relatively close to home in Brampton next year. And by them coming to the game to see this player, they will see the rest of the team. The game might be exciting because they will have a good team. And then, if they bring their kid, for example, the kid would be like, wow, that was fun. I want to go to more of those. The tickets are more affordable now. Then it starts to snowball a little bit to the point where the kid might be like, hey, I want to go to Steelheads games now next year, the year after. And then that's how you create new fans, right? So if that's the answer, if it's trading for Easton Cowan next year, then so be it. But I've said it for a long time, and you're correct. If they were to get a Maple Leafs prospect in there, I feel like it would create this huge snowball effect of possibly pulling. I'm not saying it's going to sell out the building okay? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not going to sell out the building for years and years and years, okay? But it will bring people back. It'll bring a little bit of retention, I think.
It would. And to be fair, the only Maple Leaf prospect Mississauga's ever had was Stuart Percy when he was drafted in the first round.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they did have one. You're right.
They did. I mean, so he was drafted after the Mem Cup year, played the year for the majors, and they rebranded. And I remember the Steelheads marketed that. It's like, come watch Toronto Maple Leaf prospect Stuart Percy. So it wasn't too bad for them that year.
Yeah.
Do that. Try to get a big name player to come, see what happens. Because they would make money when do you remember when McDavid used to come?
Oh yes,
It would
yes.
sell out.
It literally sold out. I think it's the only sellout in the history of that building, for OHL hockey.
The Steelheads, right?
Yes.
Because when the OHL had Tavares, that place.
That's
I will
yeah.
never forget Tavares' first game in Mississauga. That building was packed.
Yeah.
Played 2 years against Mississauga, and that building was sold out.
Yeah. So, and I think that was, no, maybe that was Majors days, I think, right?
Yeah, it was 07, 08.
Yeah.
And
So
then
that
it
wasn't that
was
far
08,
back.
09, because I think that was the year he got sent to London.
Right. And he was playing on Oshawa, so at the time, I mean, you're seeing Oshawa quite a bit. It's not like London, you see them once a year.
It's simple, guys. Draft or trade for a player that will market the league. Spend the assets. You have it. You'll have. I'm just saying. Next season, let's just say they trade for Cowan. Cowan, Martone, Misa, your top line, dominating.
I'm telling you, next year they're going to have a good team. If they were to add a top end player and a Maple Leafs prospect,
Exactly.
there would be some success. People would come to watch the games.
Defense out the window, offense all the way. So I mean, try it.
And like no disrespect to the players on the team now. This is all hypothetical, whatever. But next year they're gonna have a bunch of these guys come back, and they're gonna be a good team. So come out and watch the team.
Yeah.
Right? They should be going for it next year, so it's gonna be exciting. But Mark,
That's my TED talk.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, and that's something I thought about for a long time too, because I think that it'll honestly help, and like I said, create that snowball effect.
The majors did it in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
That deadline, they went all in and they got big name guys, but they got people that, it's like Roger said, they did do kind of well in 2011. They got Chris D'Souza, Michael DeRozio, but DeRozio was supposed to be Ryan Ellis. That trade fell through. So imagine they got Ryan Ellis that year. People are going to come to watch Ryan Ellis.
It would be a big deal. Yeah.
Right. So you could do that. Who is it? D'Souza, DeRozio, and you had the Russian guy who won the World Junior that year, Kitson. People came to watch the World Junior guy for a little bit. Obviously, it kind of died down, but you get players that people want to see. Good things happen.
Yes, and I think that is, I mean, they're certainly building that, and we'll see if they add next year, but I feel like that's a conversation definitely for next year. And I mean, this year should still be exciting, but I think we're working on closing a chapter, I guess, this year. So that'll be interesting to watch as well as we move towards the end of the year.
Exactly. And don't forget, the Ice Dogs would sell out games just for people to come watch a Don Cherry coach.
Oh, yeah. No, he was an attraction for sure. 100%.
Get a big name coach, guys.
Hey, you know what? I have to say, JR, coaches don't move around a lot, and I think I like that about the OHL. Like Stan Butler
Yep.
was the coach of Brampton and North Bay for like 1 billion years.
Like 20, yeah, like 20 something
And
years.
he's a great coach. And at some point, they were like, hey, listen, we're going to move on. I like JR. I think he's a great coach. I think he's great with the players. And I think he's really good for their development, not only for the Steelheads to the next level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't, listen, I don't think he's going anywhere. And I like JR, but that's just my personal opinion.
It's your opinion. I'm just saying. If it were to come to
I get
that
what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
big name coach, Randy Carlisle, give us some coach junior. But just kidding, JR, we were a good coach. But that's just me being silly right now with that. But on a serious note, get a big name player, people come out, make a big trade, see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But Mark, any closing remarks on any of the topics we touched on today?
No, I think we covered it all pretty well. Steelheads have a couple big games, excuse me, this weekend. Friday night in Kitchener. It's a big game. They've already played Kitchener once this year. I believe that was a good game. I don't know if that one went to overtime or not. It was about back in
It's quite a
November.
while ago. I think it was
Let me
actually
pull it up
the
here.
school day game, maybe, or maybe that was against
No,
Guelph.
it was a Sunday. I think it was October actually. Oh, here it is, October. They played Kitchener in October on the 21st.
4-1
It was a
win.
4-1 win for the Steelheads against Kitchener. Try to close out the season series. Win it. It's a big game against the Rangers. They
Good
are
team.
currently a very good team who are in fourth place in the Western Conference. Followed by that, they will play Kingston on Saturday at 4 p.m. at the Paramount Fine Food Center, and then they close out the weekend. They close out the long weekend Monday against the Owen Sound Attack for a Family Day game special.
And that
So
is the Nick Hague bobblehead giveaway game on Monday afternoon. So come down to
hey,
Paramount Fine Food Center and get your
Stanley
Nick.
Cup champion Nick
That's
Hague.
right. Thank you for correcting me. How dare I? How
How
dare
dare
I?
you?
Absolutely. And one of my favorite players to watch in a Steelheads uniform.
He was
Absolutely unreal as a
fantastic.
defenseman. 35 goals. So, Mark, this was a great episode. I think we covered a lot, and I think the Steelheads is going to be exciting coming down the stretch here. 17 games left in the season, and we'll cover it all again next week. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next week.